Hello everybody, thank you for watching my video today. Today I'll be talking about how to replace a sink faucet. As you can see, my sink faucet is dripping when it's shut off, which is quite annoying. So my wife has picked out a lovely new faucet for me to install, and this video shows a step-by-step procedure for how to do that. So there's a few things that you're going to need. First of all, you're going to need some kind of wrenches, or I like to use sockets for hard to get to areas. I also use a drill. You could use a ratchet instead if you prefer. If you're using a drill, you're going to need a socket adapter. Also some PTFE tape to seal all the fittings. A pair of channel locks is handy. Crescent wrench as well. And you always want to keep some towels handy. In fact, you could probably do this entire job with just the crescent wrench if you needed to. So the first thing that you want to do is shut off the water supply to the faucet. There's a hot line and a cold water line, so make sure you shut them both off. After you shut the water lines off, test the faucet, make sure there's no water flow. It looks like we're good. So once I am sure that the water is shut off, I'm going to go ahead and remove the supply lines to the faucet inlets. So with just a crescent wrench and a pair of channel locks, these lines come off pretty easily. You could rebuild the faucet if you prefer. In fact, you may save some money if you rebuild the faucet, usually depending what kind of faucet it is. A rebuild kit may be around $10. To replace the faucet, again, there's a huge variety of faucets out there. In my case, my wife found me a very nice faucet to install for about $60. So that peace of mind, having a new, clean faucet, a little bit less time and hassle. In this case, I like to replace the faucet. You can also see that the water supply lines have quite a bit of corrosion on them. If you look underneath the faucet, you can't really see it with the camera view here, but there's quite a bit of corrosion in the bottom side of the faucet as well, so rebuilding it may not even be possible in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and use my drill to remove the hold down nuts. There's only two of them in this case. On each side there's a nut and a little steel bracket. They come off pretty easily. Again, you could use a ratchet for this. You could probably even use just your crescent wrench for this if that's all that you have handy. But I prefer to use the drill because it's quick and pretty easy. You can also see once I loosened the faucet and broke the seal of the gasket against the sink, some water came out. So make sure you have some towels handy and ready to mop up that water if any gets away from you while you're doing this. Now I can go ahead and remove those steel retainer blocks. Once the nuts are loose, they slide right out, no problem. And the last thing that I need to do is loosen up and remove the sink drain plug lever. I don't think I got a bite on it there. Let's try again here. Go ahead and loosen that up. I'm making it look much more difficult than it actually is. There we go. Now I can pull that rod out of the actuator assembly and pull the whole faucet right out of the way. So you can see we're really only a few minutes into this job here, and at this point the old faucet's coming out already. So it's not a real difficult job. Doing it yourself at home instead of calling a plumber can save you quite a bit of money, but also you can do it whenever you want at your convenience and not wait for a plumber to be available. So there we go, the old faucet's removed already. Now at this point you can see I've made a mess already. I want to make sure that I clean up the sink, especially at the area where the faucet gasket is going to rest. I do want to have a good seal there to make sure I don't get any water leaks underneath the sink in the future. So a little bit of bleach cleaner, some paper towels. Most of that will wipe away without too much trouble. Unfortunately, it looks like the old gasket has left some marks and some discoloration permanently on my sink, so it's not going to be perfectly clean, but I don't have a new sink to install today, so I'm going to get it as good as I can, put the new faucet in, and maybe replace the sink another day. Now I've got just a towel with some dish soap on it. That's going to help really shine it up and pull some of that grease and tar off of the sink. So now that it's clean, I'll go ahead and slide my new faucet in place, make sure that the gasket is set in there properly, and you can see there's a little bit of wiggle room, so when you tighten down the retainers for the new faucet, make sure you have the sink positioned where you want it. Now I'm going to put some PTFE tape on the water fittings. You really don't need to install tape. The water hoses have gaskets on them that work just fine, but for some extra insurance, while I'm in here already, I always put some PTFE tape on the fittings, just to make sure that they're not going to leak. Also, I am installing new water hoses as well. Whenever you put a faucet in, that's the perfect time to go ahead and put new water hoses on. I use stainless steel hoses because they're more robust, especially under a sink where you may have different bottles, shampoos, things like that, bathroom supplies that could be banging against the hoses, and having some stainless steel hoses will help make sure that I don't spring any leaks in the future. And they're not very expensive as well. I think they're only maybe $6 or $7 a piece that I had to pay for them. So I'm installing the actuator rod for the new faucet for the drain plug. I'm going to just go ahead and make that finger tight. You can use your crescent wrench to snug that bolt down if you want to, but usually finger tight is just fine. You're not putting a lot of load on it. You can also see that my new faucet has different style retainers. Those tubes are actually the water inlet tubes. Then it just has some plastic nuts that clamp right down to the underside of the sink and will hold my faucet in place. And again, make sure you pay attention to how you're positioning the faucet when you tighten these down. So now that my faucet's secure, I'll go ahead and put some PTFE tape on the fittings for the water inlet hoses. And you only need to cover about the bottom half inch or so. And again, the PTFE tape is just extra insurance. You don't really need it. If you don't have it available, you'll probably be just fine, but it's one of the extra things I always like to do while I'm in here. Now when you install the new hoses, make sure that you thread the hoses to the fittings as far as you can by hand. You don't want to have one of these hoses misaligned, then put your crescent wrench on it and cross thread it and damage the hoses and your new fixture. Then you need to start all over and it'll be costly as well. So just start them by hand and tighten them on as far as you can by hand. Alright, so I've got both of them tight. I'll go ahead and turn my water supply back on. And when I turn it on, I'm going to just visually look at the hoses, make sure I don't have any drips or water spraying out. It looks like everything's just fine. So when you first turn the new faucet on, you're going to have air in the lines, so make sure you go slowly so you don't spray water all over yourself, but very quickly the air will clear from the lines and you'll have a steady flow of water. So that's all there is to it. Thank you for watching my video, and please like or leave a comment if you have any questions or want to provide feedback. I appreciate it. Thanks and have a great day.